Welcome, everybody. We are live here with Ishan, who is
Hello.
the creator of the winning project at the recent BSV Hackathon in Austin, Texas. My name is Ty Everett. I was the host of the hackathon and one of the judges, and so I'm very happy to have Ishan here with me on a live stream. So I think one of the things we're going to do is just talk through some of the main components of the project and how it works. We'll jump into some of the code and how people can contribute to the project. And yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into some of how it works and the architecture and some ways that it could be extended and launched and made into a full-fledged thing. I think that there's a lot of potential for it to do a lot of good in the space. So, Ishan, thank you for taking the time to do a live stream with us.
Yeah, thank you
And
for having me here. This is my first stream, so I'm kind of
yeah,
nervous, but
um, I think there's a lot of good that can come out of this of this particular project because it allows for developers to basically it recognizes the value of their time and their
hmm
contributions even within open source projects,
oh yeah.
which is something that I think the ecosystem would benefit from, and it can help grow a lot of the projects that even other people submitted for the hackathon.
hmm
Um, Maybe I'll just put up the code and we can start there.
Yeah,
Uh,
that sounds good.
so this is our README, and I think everybody can see this live. Let me see if I can adjust the little. I don't know too much about StreamYard here, but is that a better view for everybody? I think so. Right. Okay. So yeah, everybody can see the README on the stream now.
hmm
And yeah, I guess just to get this out of the way here at the beginning, um, I don't think anybody at the event actually knew uh, at the time that there was another project. This was originally called Get Paid on
hmm
BSV, and apparently somebody else already used the name Get Paid on another project. So now we're not
Yeah.
sure what to call it. I don't want to create any confusion with the name or with what people have called their other projects on other blockchains. I think some Ethereum people use that name first.
hmm
Um, and yeah, I mean, I was not aware of that. I don't think anybody at the event was aware of it.
hmm
And looking at what this code is and what it does and how it works, some people have said that like we just copy and pasted the project from Ethereum. That could not be further from the truth.
Yeah, I wish it was that easy.
So firstly, BRC 102. BRC 102 project structure is deployment info.json. And we have a front end here, we have a back end here, it looks like. And if we look at this deployment info.json file, we can see that it follows the BRC 102 structure. It describes, our sort of, we have a lookup service, we have a topic manager, we have a front end, and it describes where these things are and how they can be deployed. Even it
hmm
looks like cars config exists. So that means that it can be deployed locally, or you can run it locally with like Lars, or you can deploy it. This is BRC 102, and this project structure is fairly new. In fact, created after the original Get Paid.
hmm
Um, but you and I talked about this briefly in some DMs, I guess. And judging by your README here, which I can pull up, um, I think I think we're both open to finding a new name, just so that we're
hmm
not stepping on any toes, I guess.
Oh yeah.
But
I mean, get paid was something that Mitch and I came up with, but
yeah,
I don't know. I'm still deciding. Still think it's a great name. All credit to the Ethereum guys, but we could definitely. It's just flexible. My code is my code, but the
yeah, the
name is
code
something
is what
else.
matters here, right? Like there
Yeah.
is there is one file which is our README, and that would contain the name of this. But I mean, there's even a get cert here, and
hmm
maybe we can start there.
Yeah.
Well, I guess firstly, like I don't know, I I read this I think it would be hilarious to call it "Get Something."
Something.
I don't know. There's so many like
There's a lot of different gets that you can put in
yeah.
there.
There's like
I just put it into
there's
ChatGPT yesterday. It
we
spat
were
out
we
a
were
bunch of
throwing
fun
around
stuff.
ideas. You mentioned "Get Bounty," and then I googled that, and it's like that's also apparently used to be a thing
Hmm.
like 5 years ago.
Yeah,
Um,
I actually bought
so
the domain name GetSats, so I'm open to changing it to that.
get Sats. I mean, that's
GetSats.
cool too.
Hmm.
So different ideas. People can pop in the chat if they have suggestions. There's different ones. Hello, Info Create. Um, and
Hello.
um, Today we're just going to be, to answer your question here, I'll put it up on the screen. We are going to be going through some of the main components um, uh, uh, of the Get Paid project, or what we're going to call it. Maybe it'll be Get Sats. That's not a bad idea. Um,
Get Tie.
well, I mean, I think that people who know me might understand it, but Get Sats is more universal. So we got a few different ideas. We'll figure it out, but
Mhm.
yeah, let's move on. Let's focus on what actually I think is important here to you, Ishan, to
Mhm.
me. What we were thinking about when we were creating and judging this project, which is kind of its functionality and how it
Mhm.
works. So we have this Git cert folder, and it looks like there's another README inside of here.
Yeah,
And
that was. I didn't have time to change all that yet, but
so
I'll
this is
definitely get
based
to
on
that soon.
CoolCert, right?
Yep. I used CoolCert as kind of a template and then added
Yeah.
GitHub's OAuth capabilities with it.
Cool. So maybe just for people that aren't familiar with CoolCert, um, it's essentially just a blank certifier. It'll give you a certificate that says you're a cool person, right? You can just ask for a certificate and then get a certificate. But it can be easily modified to add support for new, like you can do checks. And
Mm-hmm.
so with Git cert, if I understand correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, feel free to walk me through, which files I should check out. But
Mm-hmm.
but if I understand correctly, rather than just to give a certificate unconditionally, we are actually binding someone's, is it their GitHub like username to
Yep.
a certificate?
Is their GitHub username and email?
Okay,
Um,
so we certified
so
both of those things.
yep. I mean, it pulls. I'm pretty sure it pulls like basically all publicly viewable information about the user,
And then it
and
puts it
then
into a
a
certificate.
certificate. Yep.
Okay.
But right now
Um,
the fields are just GitHub username and GitHub email.
yeah, so like I have a few certificates in my MetaNet client, and maybe I'll try to put the MetaNet client on the screen. Let me see if I can't manage to do that. Just give me a second so I can show everybody here. Um, so yeah, I have my MetaNet client, and let me just once again, there we go. Yeah, so you can see my MetaNet client here. I'm in the identity tab, and I have a
Mm-hmm.
few certificates. So I got my Cool Cert from Cool Cert, and then I got email cert from Social Cert. And these are showing up as unknown just because of the there's some UI improvements and certificate type registration that are still being
Mm-hmm.
built as part of the MetaNet client itself. So MNC is under development still. All of these apps are very early prototypes, but we're here to build and see what's possible. So
Yeah.
if I understand correctly, if I were to use Git cert, then I would get another certificate in my MetaNet client, and that would basically give me all of my GitHub related information.
Yep. And I haven't done it yet, but you could integrate identity react with it so that you can just search based on your GitHub username. Ideally, that's what I want to do for the get something app.
Yeah. Um, so then on Get Something, I could find someone's GitHub, and that's how I could or when they put a bounty, I could link
Mm-hmm.
that to their, so that I know that the person who makes the bounty truly owns whatever repo they are, offering.
That's the whole point.
Yeah, so that makes sense to me. Let me go ahead and try to put my tab back up if I can manage that. And then we'll go back to this code. I'm just fiddling with the our streaming thing here, but I think we'll be able to do this. Yeah, here we go. So then I have to go back. Right. So there's that. And yeah, so get cert would bind the certificate to the MetaNet user, so that way we can search. And if I look in here, we have certifier server index types, and then is it routes or where? Because there's a signed certificate, obviously,
Yep.
and that's probably where we would have to confirm the information about
Yep.
the getting.
So the signed certificate function just basically it checks if they're authenticated, checks if they have a wallet open, I'm pretty sure, and then signs the certificate. So it takes in encrypted fields and
it'll verify them. And then, yeah, we're gonna, make sure this is good. And you've added some, it looks like some either middleware or some other pre-processing step. And then, yeah, that makes sense. So, okay.
Yeah, this is the bulk of the
get cert implementation, essentially.
Yeah.
So yeah, if we're going to make bounties, we obviously want a certifier to attest to the validity of the person making the bounty, that they actually own the repo when you put this on chain on the overlay network.
Yeah.
So then we do our logic here, and yeah, okay. So that makes sense to me. So that's essentially get cert in a nutshell, right? The other main part of this code is the front end and back end. So if we go into here, this is basically, as we mentioned, right? BRC 102 describes the structure of a project that has a back end, a front end, and optionally some smart contracts. So our back end has a topic manager and a lookup service. And the topic manager, you have a bounty topic manager. So if I understand correctly, you're using an overlay service for this. And what are you representing in your, is it each bounty?
Yep.
Is it
each bounty.
like a token?
Yep. It's its own JSON basically.
Okay. So
and it's stored on Mongo.
Yeah.
Mongo database.
So the lookup service side would index these tokens. The topic manager is just concerned with validating them so that they are put into the system. And then you have a front end that's going to actually pull all of those and show, like, these are the bounties that are available and things like that.
Yeah, I'm actually having some bugs with the front end. I went in and tried to fix them yesterday, but
yeah,
I got busy with other things. So
yeah,
it's still in development.
Yeah, I think we'll be able to help with some of those bugs and get things where they need to be.
I also part of the back end, I can probably make this its own like directory, but I have an Express server set up for just GitHub authentication and some API routes.
Yeah, and that way you have, like, because I think long term, right, you'll want, there's like 3 parties involved with a bounty payout process. One is the person that creates the bounty, they have a public key. Then you have the person who claims the bounty by doing the work, and they have a public key. And then you could do like a 2 of 3 escrow, right? So that way the server or the facilitator of that particular bounty could, if there's a dispute, maybe someone says you did the work, someone says you didn't do the work or whatever, they could step in and maybe, the contract could enforce essentially, one person who gets to have the funds, right? Either the funds go back to the repository owner if the work wasn't done, or they go to the developer if they did the work.
Yep, and that's what the smart contract basically is. It's a multi-signature escrow.
Yeah.
contract. I just use that as a template and kind of put
Yeah.
my own implementation into it.
Mm-hmm. So when the output is added, we pull out the fields from the on-chain token that represents this bounty, it looks
Mm-hmm.
like. And then
And I
you...
also updated this at the hackathon. I had the deprecated version of push drop for this, so I
So we'll add the
updated it.
new version, right? Because
Yep.
I think pushdrop.decode was being used of the old version of pushdrop.
Yeah.
But now it's going to be we'll update it. So it looks like we just insert this into our MongoDB collection essentially, because you probably got a storage engine that goes and does that.
Yeah, that's
For
in bounty storage.
Yep. And
.ts.
then this is driven by the lookup service. So when an output is added, we pull out all of the relevant things, and then we allow someone to look it up.
Yep.
And then we have when an output gets spent, then we could delete it. And when you call the lookup function, you're basically just talking to the MongoDB, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that makes sense. And that way you're able to pull this out of the overlay.
Yep.
And for those that aren't aware, overlays can be synced. So many people could run this overlay, and then when transactions happen, they would propagate to all people who track these particular on-chain actions. And then that would facilitate, people checking that out. Now, you have a contract. Is that right?
Yep.
We pull that up. So
I'm
the
not
bounty
very good
contract-
at smart contracts, so I just kind of copied and pasted it into an AI. I was like, hey, can you just make this for me, please?
Well, it makes sense. We're using
Yeah.
the TypeScript decorator for properties of this contract. For the repo owner, we have the server key. We're just putting some data, issue number here, and then you can construct the contract with those fields. Then we have the repo owner can withdraw. So if they sign an amount of money, then it can be right. Okay. So then you're essentially building an output and asserting that it goes to that output.
Yep.
Now the further, if we were to take this further, let's see. So we got add funds and essentially.
Yeah, it's very simple right now, just for basic functionality.
Yeah, so we can. Right. Oh, it does take a server sig. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't implement that for the hackathon, but that's definitely going to be a key part of it.
Yeah, I think that we'll be able to work to get that implemented, and that way people can can check it out. So make sure there's sufficient funds, and then as long as the server would sign that the bounty is okay to be paid, then it would make sure that these outputs exist, and that includes a state output that propagates the contract forward, so that it can be used by the next one. Okay. So yeah, I think that this is a good concept for getting that where it should be. And that's about, there's the front end, right? So the front end is what's going to pull everything together. And I would encourage people to, check this out, help with adding features and getting things where they should be. But I think that we'll be able to get this further developed. So we got a React front end, we got components, and there's an app. I would imagine that there's going to be multiple views. Let me see. Yeah, so you're defining some routes here.
Yep.
You've got you've got different ones. So the get cert, does that also have a front end?
Yes, the get cert has a front end. It's pretty basic.
So there's a separate front end for the get cert, which is where you can actually acquire your GitHub certificate. And if I remember,
eventually I want to connect these two into like one general application where you can just get your certificate and then use all the features.
Yeah, because the get cert server could also act as the server that signs off on bounties, whether they're
Yep,
complete, right?
that's
And then
the idea. Yeah.
yeah, and then the two front ends could be combined so that the users can get their get cert. And I think that's what you demoed at the hackathon, is that you were able to successfully get a get cert bound to a public key
Yep.
in 24 hours, and you were able to, after spending all of this time, you were also able to get outputs admitted into the overlay, and then you're able to query them from the lookup service.
Yep.
Um,
In my MetaNet desktop client, I have way too many Git certs because I have the old version right now, so I'm not able to delete them. But
yeah, the funny thing is, on the old version of MetaNet Desktop, it's hard to delete certificates.
mhm.
Um, and so with the new version, we're working to make that better all the time as well. I think it's going to make things easier for everybody. Um, and yeah, I mean, when you were there at the event, and I was there with you helping walk through, I was helping everybody really
Mhm.
just walk through any bugs they were facing. And when you got topical admittance for your UTXO into the overlay,
Oh
um,
yeah.
I could just see the pieces coming together with this application. It's like, and that's what I want to see, is people who are working through these bugs and getting things where they need to be.
Mhm.
So I'm really happy about that and where we got
Yeah.
to.
No, I
Um,
definitely appreciate all of your help. But some of this, I'm still really new to blockchain development, so a lot of the stuff was confusing me. But now most of it makes sense. Most, if not all.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of components, right? Like there's the
Hmm.
certificate stuff. There's wallets that hold certificates on for the user. Then
Uh
there
huh.
is the overlay, which tracks all of the state when it's across
Hmm.
multiple people.
And then you can
There's
add like identity resolution,
yeah,
all of that stuff. So it's a great ecosystem to work with. Definitely, I'm still really excited to work with it.
yeah, and I think we'll be able to extend it in a lot of ways. So maybe that's something that we can talk about next. Is like, this is where we are, and these are the capabilities that we want to, unify and integrate. And that's kind of the roadmap that we just kind of talked about. Is getting those two front ends combined, getting the certifier to sign off when the merges happen, and then of course there's a little, I think, what was it? You were wrestling with like Webpack versus Vite
Oh
at one
yeah.
point,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
and all the configs. That was crazy. But then we got back to the meter config, and it might
Hmm.
it might have worked.
Yep.
Um, but but yeah, I mean, in the future, right? Like we could have Git cert, obviously, which attests for your GitHub handle, and that way we know the bounties are legit and
Yeah.
everything like that.
You can also
Um,
use Git cert for a lot of other applications if anyone else wants to build off of GitHub's applications. The GitHub app thing you can set up.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some applications there for it. In terms of bounties, like you could conceivably, I would imagine, set like restrictions on who is allowed to claim a particular bounty. Like maybe you want to make
Hmm.
sure somebody has at least 5 years of experience with TypeScript,
Yeah. Oh
and
yeah,
so
you can. Yeah.
there's a certificate you could issue. Like there could be a coding skills test or something
Yeah.
on another app. It doesn't even have to be the same app, which is cool, right? Because the certificates, which are held by the user, right? They're in their wallet.
Yep.
Certificates stay with the user across all of their apps. And if there's like a coding skills app that issues a certificate saying, I have at least 5 years of experience in TypeScript, um, then maybe that could be a condition on you can only accept the bounty in that case or something.
Hmm. No,
Um,
definitely. You can have like this is like a certificate saying your specialties, like C++,
right.
Java, whatever, and then I could even build something into the system to kind of match your specialties with bounties and projects based on the like native language or everything like that. There's
Yeah.
a lot. There's a lot you can do with it.
So that's the idea, is that this is an open source project. It's a foundation. Anybody is free to use this code on BSV to add new things and basically just leverage the metanet, right? Like, because
Hmm.
why I like this project so much is that it not only uses the tools of the MetaNet, but it also helps grow the MetaNet by funding other projects and
Oh
helping
yeah.
those devs, get what they need to keep um, uh, to keep things going.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, there's not much else I wanted to cover. I mean, there were a few. Let's think. Um, the certificate stuff is is useful. One one challenge that I thought of, as I was like on the plane on the way back, actually,
Hmm.
was related to like a repo maintainer merging code that's very suspiciously
I've
similar.
I've 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 thought of that one as well. I was like, how do I get around this?
Well, I mean, if the certifier, if the arbiter, right, basically the
Yeah.
person who's signing off has to approve something, right?
Yeah.
If somebody accepts a bounty as a developer and starts working on it, right,
Yeah.
and they have a branch, and that branch has to be public,
Yeah.
then we can know what the code is that that developer started to work on.
Hmm.
And then maybe the repo owner's like, oh no, never mind. I know you have this branch, but I'm closing my bounty, right?
Yeah, I just don't really want to pay you, and then
Right,
they close the bounty
exactly.
and merge it on GitHub.
Um,
They can. I'd probably build in some security for that, but they could just copy
yeah,
over the code and be like, "Screw you."
I think that if you had a bounty open though, you have to put money into the escrow.
Yeah.
So maybe the certifier could like analyze the various branches on the repo and what code gets merged,
Hmm.
and it could create like a I don't know in AI. In AI, there's this concept of they're called like text embeddings,
Hmm.
and basically that is a representation of the concepts that are embedded within text. So text
Hmm.
embeddings is like you know if I have I don't know a certain set of changes like a diff, right? Like someone creates a set of changes to my code.
Yeah.
Um, I could create kind of like a unique fingerprint for that set of changes.
Yeah.
Uh, and so for any person who accepts a bounty or starts working on a bounty on a branch, we could create a fingerprint for those changes. And then maybe um, if any similar code to that set of changes gets merged later by a different person, then we can assume that this person should probably be paid for that work and
Hmm.
flag the account of the original malicious repo owner
Hmm.
or whatever.
We could
um,
also add in that case, we could also revoke their certificate if
yeah,
it's
right,
significant
because
enough, right?
if they keep just scalping off of the diffs that were created by these other people, it's like, okay, well, you don't get to do that, so that way we
Hmm.
protect developers against their work kind of being stolen. Because I think one of the biggest weaknesses of other attempts at this is, right, if you push the branch publicly and somebody just copies and pastes the code, um, then you're kind of out of luck. So the escrow system combined with anti and to be clear, I don't know if other projects have done this or not. Like I'm just brainstorming at this point. I think that's what we
Hmm.
were what we've both been doing honestly with this since the very beginning. So
Yeah.
um, if somebody's already done this and they want to yell at me for that, like I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm
I
just
was
throwing.
just more focused on using the tools for the hackathon while
Yeah.
studying. I didn't even, I mean, a simple Google search could have probably done me good, but yeah, I was just more focused on creating something.
Yeah, and I think you built the best project with that meets the requirements on the rules like the most closely. You made use of identity, you made use of overlays, you made use of micropayments
Hmm.
to monetize the work from developers, and you made use of the wallet, of course, to hold the certificates and do the transactions. You
Hmm.
also made use of contracts, which wasn't even one of the four main things, but it's still very useful and important with escrypt and
Hmm.
whatnot.
Oh
So
yeah.
That's really what it came down to at the judging table. Is we talked about who used what and how, and then we also talked about how good this is for the ecosystem and what business sense does it make. Because there were other projects. I mean, for example, my good friend Ben Pertzer, he was building this ads platform, and it was very it was a very, very good use of tech as well. It made use of UHRP storage and everything.
Yep.
But it's like there's a balance between the what the ecosystem, what the kind of people want to see in the ecosystem, and then there's other things like the use of the tech and all of these aspects and lots of different projects that got built in lots of different ways.
Yeah.
And honestly, man, I think you built the best thing, and that's why you won.
Yeah.
So
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I just wanted to make something. I don't know. I got into this pretty like I kind of just dove straight into BSV development, and I
yeah,
just came up with this idea to kind of fuel BSV development, and that's really all I wanted to do with it.
yeah. Well, it worked. I think it's going to be
Mhm.
good. And we can change it to get sats. I like that.
Mhm.
And I think that's not a bad it's not a bad way to go.
Mhm.
And from there, I think everybody would. Whoops! Do I not have access? Maybe the team has to give me access to this stuff. Anyways, I was gonna spontaneously go and edit the repo name or something, but I don't have access. So that's fine. We'll do it. At some point. But I'm very excited about the future of this project and seeing it evolve from just a hackathon submission, which is really all it was, right? I think people
Mhm.
made it out to be a lot more than what making a mountain out of a molehill, right? But
Yeah, right. This is why I
people
don't
never get
use
doing
Twitter
that.
really.
It's just funny for me. I mean, I'm not very into any of that stuff, but it's funny because like the narrative changed from, oh, people haven't used BSV for anything. There's no tools. There's no ability to build things, and now it's like, oh, how dare you use BSV to build.
Yeah,
I don't know.
exactly.
It's just interesting, but we're here to help you build this project and make it
I
into
appreciate
some really good things. And I think I don't know if the accountant has reached out to you yet about your winnings, but we're going to have that go ahead.
it.
Obviously,
Sounds
all the
good.
all the winners were reaching out, and yeah, so I think it's going to be a good opportunity for lots of people to check things out.
Right.
Um, okay, well, I think that's everything I wanted to cover. Is there anything else you wanted to say as we finish up our live stream here?
Um, I can't really think of anything. I'm just happy to be here and
Yeah,
kind of just talk through what I made. A lot of it, like initially when I pushed it, like at like 10:30 on the day of the hackathon, I was like, "This is slop. This is slop. I'm ashamed to be pushing this." But since then, I've kind of refactored, just kind of refined it a little more. I added that README, so if anyone watching has any problems spinning it up or just
yeah. Please
bugs
open
in
an issue.
there are definitely still bugs, but yeah, just open an issue or just reach out to me. I can help you out with that.
Yeah. And you're on the Slack too, so we're here to
Yep.
help you as well. Like you can ask questions, you can, check out other projects or tools. If you have any other ideas, just feel free to build them. Obviously, like anybody
Hmm.
can build anything with the tools. It doesn't have to be open source. You can build you can build businesses. You could build open source things. Whatever people want to build. That's kind of what my point is with this hackathon and with the MetaNet is like I built this foundation of tooling because I want everybody to check it out and build fun things. And I think that's what it's about.
Yeah.
So thank you, Ishan, for taking the time to once again, be on this live stream and talk through some of the components and the architecture for how it works. I hope that people understand the differences between our approach to building apps and maybe some of the approaches that exist on other chains.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can all be respectful to one another. I hope that's something that we can learn from this. Is we don't have to agree about what blockchain and whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, no malicious intent from us
Yep.
on this. I think we're very very happy to be at a place where we're now building on top of these primitives, and we're gonna take things forward. We're gonna let the tech speak for itself and just build
Mm-hmm.
some cool experiences. That's the idea. So stay tuned for the next hackathon, everybody. It's going to be in Southern Oregon. I think we're going to do it in Medford, and it's going to be in July. The date and venue are still TBA, but we're putting things together, making some plans, and we're learning a lot. I think we will, do that little search for each project before we
Yeah,
But
that'd probably be a good
everybody,
idea, even for the
honestly,
contestants.
well, this was my first time hosting a hackathon too. You
Uh-huh.
know, so
No, you did a great job though. It was pretty seamless from start to finish. I'd say
yeah. I
until
mean,
after the fact.
someone, yeah, it was really good. And somebody mentioned like we could have a projector and we could have everybody.
Mm.
We could even like on the stream we could switch between the screens of the participants if they're like live coding or something if they
Hmm.
want to.
I thought it was kind of fun, just kind of like everyone like gathered around trying to look at the laptop screens.
Yeah,
Though.
the in-person vibes were like honestly it was really good. It was really good. It was like informal. It was like you could tell it was just thrown together, like hacked together, if you will, as a
Hmm.
hackathon. And I think that
Hmm.
kind of energy is where a lot of cool things come from in our world. And I think the metanet, uh, as a replacement for some of the toxicity of Web 2, like Web 2,
Oh
like this
yeah.
this I don't know, all the stuff that we have online. It's like, how about we meet up in person sometimes, and have
Hmm.
a fun time. And then we can build something different and unique. So
Hmm.
you know yeah, thank you again, Ishan,
Thank
for
you for
joining.
having
um
me. This is awesome. I'm
yeah,
glad I
so
could kind of explain like what I made without sounding kind of stupid, but
well,
it was a lot of fun.
yeah, we'll have to do this again sometime. And if you build other things too, like I'm always happy to have people on these live streams just talk about anything that you built. So maybe I'll
Hmm.
invite some of the other winners too, and I don't know, we can make this a recurring type of thing on the channels here. If people think it would be a
Hmm.
fun idea,
That'd be awesome.
you know. Let us know in the comments or on X if you'd like to see more of these types of things where we just kind of have people on and talk about things that they build from all around the metanet. So, all right, I'll run the outro and close out the stream. Catch everybody on the next one. Follow us on X, subscribe on YouTube, and look forward for the next hackathon and more great projects from all around the space. And
Mhm.
as always, everybody, I will see you around the Metanet.